Hello there, this is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. The website is www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to Morning Mindset, where we read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, a few pages at a time, followed by a great discussion. Today I'm going to be reading pages 120 to 123. Let's get started, shall we? Top of page 120. This personal touch is sure to command attention. Have your brief neatly typed or mimeographed on the finest paper you can obtain and bound with a heavy paper of the book cover variety. The binder to be changed and the proper firm name to be inserted if it is to be shown to more than one company. Your photograph should be pasted on one of the pages of your brief. Follow these instructions to the letter, improving upon them wherever your imagination suggests. Successful salesmen groom themselves with care. They understand that first impressions are lasting. Your brief is your salesman. Give it a good suit of clothes so it will stand out in bold contrast to anything your prospective employer ever saw in the way of an application for a position. If the position you seek is worth having, it is worth going after with care. Moreover, if you sell yourself to an employer in a manner that impresses him with your individuality, you probably will receive more money for your services from the very start than you would if you had applied for employment in the usual conventional way. If you seek employment through an advertising agency or an employment agency, have the agent use copies of your brief in marketing your services. This will help to gain preference for you, both the agent and the prospective employers. How to get the exact position you desire. Everyone enjoys doing the kind of work for which he is best suited. An artist loves to work with paints, a craftsman with his hands, a writer loves to write. Those with less definite talents have their preferences for certain fields of business and industry. If America does anything well, it offers a full range of occupations, tilling the soil, manufacturing, marketing, and the professions. First, decide exactly what kind of job you want. If the job doesn't already exist, perhaps you can create it. Second, choose the company or individual for whom you wish to work. Third, study your prospective employer as to policies, personnel, chances of advancement. Fourth, by analysis of yourself, your talents, and capabilities, figure what you can offer and plan ways and means of giving advantages, services, developments, ideas that you believe you can successfully deliver. Fifth, forget about a job. Forget whether or not there is an opening. Forget the usual routine of have you got a job for me? Concentrate on what you can give. Sixth, once you have your plan in mind, arrange with an experienced writer to put it on paper in neat form and in full detail. Seventh, present it to the proper person with authority, and he will do the rest. Every company is looking for men who can give something of value, whether it be ideas, services, or connections. Every company has room for the man who has a definite plan of action which is to the advantage of that company. This line of procedure may take a few days or weeks of extra time, but the difference in income, in advancement, and in gaining recognition will save years of hard work at small pay. It has many advantages, the main one being that it will often save from 1 to 5 years of time in reaching a chosen goal. Every person who starts or gets in halfway up the ladder does so by deliberate and careful planning, excepting, of course, the boss's son. The new way of marketing services jobs are now partnerships. Men and women who market their services to best advantage in the future must recognize the stupendous change which has taken place in connection with the relationship between employer and employee. In the future, the golden rule, and not the rule of gold, will be the determining factor in the marketing of merchandise as well as personal services. The future relationship between employers and their employees will be more in the nature of a partnership consisting of A, the employer, B, the employee, C, the public they serve. This new way of marketing personal services is called new for many reasons. First, both the employer and the employee of the future will be considered as fellow employees whose business it will be to serve the public efficiently. In times past, employers and employees have bartered among themselves, driving the best bargains they could with one another, not considering that in the final analysis they were, in reality, bargaining at expense of the third party, the public they served. The Depression served as a mighty protest from an injured public whose rights had been trampled upon in every direction by those who were clamoring for individual advantages and profits. When the debris of the Depression shall have been cleared away and business shall have been once again restored to balance, both employers and employees will recognize that they are no longer privileged to drive bargains at the expense of those whom they serve. The real employer of the future will be the public. This should be kept uppermost in mind by every person seeking to market personal services effectively. Nearly every railroad in America is in financial difficulty. Who does not remember the day when, if a citizen inquired at the ticket office the time of departure of a train, he was abruptly referred to the bulletin board instead of being politely given the information? The streetcar companies have experienced a change of times also. There was a time not so very long ago when streetcar conductors took pride in giving argument to passengers. Many of the streetcar tracks have been removed and passengers ride on a bus whose driver is the last word in politeness. All over the country, streetcar tracks are rusting from abandonment or have been taken up. Wherever streetcars are still in operation, passengers may now ride without argument, and one may even hail the car in the middle of the block, and the motorman will obligingly pick him up. How times have changed. That is just the point I am trying to emphasize. Times have changed. Moreover, the change is reflected not merely in railroad offices and on streetcars, but in other walks of life as well. The public be damned policy is now passé. It has been supplanted by the we are obligingly at your service, sir policy. The bankers have learned a thing or two during this rapid change which has taken place during the past few years. Impoliteness on the part of a bank official or bank employee today is as rare as it was conspicuous a dozen years ago. In the years past, some bankers, not all of them, of course, carried an atmosphere of austerity which gave every would-be borrower a chill when he even thought of approaching his banker for a loan. The thousands of bank failures during the Depression had the effect of removing the mahogany doors behind which bankers formerly barricaded themselves. They now sit at desks in the open, where they may be seen and approached at will by any depositor or by anyone who wishes to see them, and the whole atmosphere of the bank is one of courtesy and understanding. It used to be customary for customers to have to stand and wait at the corner grocery until the clerks were through passing the time of day with friends, and the proprietor had finished making up his bank deposit before being waited upon. Chain stores managed by courteous men who do everything in the way of service, short of shining the customer's shoes, have pushed the old-time merchants into the background. Time marches on. Courtesy and service are the watchwords of merchandising today and apply to the person who is marketing personal services even more directly than to the employer whom he serves, because in the final analysis, both the employer and his employee are employed by the public they serve. If they fail to serve well, they pay by the loss of their privilege of serving. I am going to stop there because I think there's a lot of good stuff to be discussed there. And if I'm wrong, every one of you is going to tell me and guide the conversation accordingly. The seat is open for anybody who wants to begin a discussion about what I've just read. Good morning, everyone. So good to see you all again. Anna, Austin, how good to see you again. Austin, I'm doing well. I hope you are as well. Jimmy, good to see you. Damon, my friend. Sean, so good to see you here. You got up early. I love that. Vanessa, good to see you here as well. So glad you all could join me this morning. So once again, read page 120 to 123. And I got to tell you, what's really coming out at me, of course, are the capitalized letters. And that, once again, it doesn't matter the day and age. everything he's talking about so applies today. Those who are courteous and providing service because they have the customer in mind in everything they do, they're the ones who are winning. At least that's what I'm seeing. Brian, so good to have you this morning. Yes, it is a good morning. It is a good morning. So we have courtesy, and I know that every one of us can think about the big names that we all wish would break up into small businesses because their courtesy and handling of customers is just wrong and bad because they've gotten so big. Hi, Sabrina. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Oh, hello, Martha. Oh, so good to see you again. It's been a while, Martha. Damien, so glad you could join us. So what do you think? What do you think, Sabrina? There's a lot in that.
There was a lot.
There's a lot.
Damon says service is the way of the day, and I agree with him, but I think that a lot of I'm not sure how many years ago this book was written, but I think that the whole world is still struggling with that. I still see it everywhere I am. I walk in, and I think that by having trained people to provide more service, we've also trained ourselves to accept less in the sense of we want more.
Expectations.
Yeah. I know that if I go in and somebody doesn't pay attention to me, like I'm the only person there.
You are the most important person in that store that currently has 600 people walking through the aisles.
Yeah. Brought my money.
Oh, good morning. So good to see you. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. Good morning. What Sabrina said make me jump in because, the people with us right now, Charlene, make them feel so loved. So, because, it's just your greeting is just phenomenal.
Oh, here's again. Thank you, dear. Good morning. Good morning. I'll take the honey.
No, seriously.
I started out saying I loved honey, and here she is.
Yeah, you feel like you get attention, you get noticed. You show up, and they show up, and you recognize it. You acknowledge that it's showing up. We talk about acknowledgement, yeah.
Yes.
And then again, that message, what you're reading earlier, it's so profound. That make me laugh because you said except for the employer son, and in my situation, I really except for the employer daughter, I get replaced by somebody that is just because she is the daughter of the owner. And
the family ties that bind, yeah.
And but again, we're talking about the book. At the beginning, you see the author talk about the young one want to work for Edison. He went in to apply for a job because the man come in with knowing that what he want, what he looking for. And and then the job that he it's not the job that he worked side by side with Edison. But regardless, the first try he didn't get it. The second he will take whatever because he want to be in that facility. He want his work to show and to a testimony for himself, and then he will be recognized, will be noticed, and his efforts pay off.
And if I recall correctly on that story, it also brought to mind that so he knew what he wanted to do, he knew what he had to offer, and he went in with the feeling of I'm going to give.
Yes. We come in without we're talking about expectation. People with a lot of expectation, but at one time they come in, I serve myself because that's what I want to do. I want to give, I want to show up because I have my own purpose. He served his own purpose, but by giving, by offer, he just looking for the opportunity to have somebody say yes for him to get on and to do what he want to do, what he love to do, what he want to be.
Right. You're right. Oh, Damon. I think you should come in. Well, he just wrote a little. He wrote a comment section, so it's a big paragraph. That's not all right. I'm going to read it out loud for you. Other than inviting you into the seat to say it yourself. I guess you should say service is an opportunity for new aspiring business owners, especially in the days of the internet, to capitalize on the lack of service we see in the larger society. If we consistently provide awesome value and give supreme service, then our chances of success are very, very good.
Oh, good job, David.
Yes, yes. Big virtual hugs to you. Yes. So when I started my business, it first was, what talents and skills do I have that I can offer to others? That was literally how I looked at which business should I be in. So from the 80s, I'd been in search of a business I could purchase, figuring that financial side, it would be better for me to purchase an existing business, take over their customer base, and just grow it from there. The problem was I was always leaning towards retail, and I never did it. And I'm so grateful I didn't, because I don't like retail. I don't handle the general public very well, because the general public, Sabrina, can be rude and demanding. And
I don't know what you're talking about.
They're just, the shops I was looking at, again, you gotta remember, this is 80s and 90s, right? In my area now, because we've moved back to other areas that I've lived in the 80s and 90s, I was looking at, again, just taking over. And I was looking at a restaurant, I looked at a diner, I looked at a company that has chocolates, and I had to turn away even though it looked really good, because I knew I would taste everything. It was not a good thing.
I can totally see that.
Yes, that's right. Brian, you're exactly right. It could be that they don't handle me very well. But honestly, now that's not true. I'd been offered general manager positions. I've worked retail since I was 14. They loved me. Managers loved me. Customers would come back and ask for me. So short-term relationships, I'm awesome at. I'm awesome. But it's draining. It's very, very draining, because people in general take a lot out of me. So that was one of the things I had to look at. Where do I fit? Where do my skills and talents lie? And at the time, it was in research. And it was then, well, how can I help somebody with that skill or talent? And that was the way I approached it. And those in the industry were helpful in helping me to determine where I should approach it. So coming from a place of service without intentionally coming from service is where I came from. So when I look back on how I came up with the idea, ultimately it was my own sanity to be in business for myself. But so what can I offer? Who am I? It was all skills and talents based. So I just found that interesting that I remembered that.
When I go into any positions, I always changing that positions, because I'm willing to take on more responsibility. And because, because again, what they set out, I have a organizational chart with the job descriptions, but you go in there, you see things that need to be done, and if I see the need for it, I step in. And then, seriously, I change the job description every position that I'm in.
Yeah, I did that too. And now that they couldn't handle. There were a couple of positions they couldn't handle, because I'd see something needs to be done. I jumped in and I did it, and people would get all whacked out and wig out on me. I'm supposed to do that. And of course, my thinking is, well, then why didn't you? So I made other people look bad. And then of course there were times they made me look bad, part of working and teams and other people.
In the position that I am the boss too, and I will say, okay, that's the way we do it. And if you have a better way, let's hear about it. And then, you get them, you don't want people just go into your office and blah, 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 and tell you what your job. Give me some written, how you think that we can, because when you require for them to do some written, they have to go through the processing until they refine their thought, and they present it to you, and usually it is a goal. I love it. And that's the idea of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs said that, you hire somebody smarter, then you let them do the job. Stay out their way. and that's,
I wonder if that hasn't been the lament of everybody who's worked for other people.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, but that's ideally, it would
Yeah,
be great.
Screamwax has an awesome script, and I'm cool with it because I love props, by the way. So just keep on, my friend. Props keep me going.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how Screamwax is doing that to all three of us simultaneously.
Well, he's got a script, is my guess. There's a
What's
piece
the
of code.
Did you see that too? I just say I did
Oh.
amazing. Did I?
Hi, Chris. Good morning, Chris, and welcome. And Latanya, I'm hoping I'm
iPhone
pronouncing
6
it.
Plus. Oh, okay.
I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. Welcome.
Touch screen. Okay.
All right. So let's get back.
Individual.
All right. So
I will get off for somebody to have on, and I will stay around and I will listen to your words of wisdom.
Oh, sweetie, you
Sabrina,
can stay
love
on.
you.
Okay.
Talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Okay, let's get back to the reading about going after what we want. Now, I'm thinking that we can apply this to, are we looking for a job elsewhere, or are we looking to get new customers for our business? And I love what he said, and just on page 121, to analyze yourself first.
And I was just going to speak to that, Charlene, because
yeah.
The courtesy and service thing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure that somebody can be trained to do that, because I think it's part of what's inside of you. Either you have the ability and you have the actual feeling to give people courtesy and service, or you don't. I
think that you wouldn't get the job if you didn't have some element of that. But I think that the behavior can be trained and taught to such a level that your behavior magnifies the existing little bit of, I really like to be around people and I like to help people.
Well, I think that you train yourself, though. I think that's inside that training takes place, because I know for myself, I try to be courteous and polite to people all the time. And just yesterday, I caught myself being snippy with somebody online. And
you're so good at snippy.
I know.
Sorry.
But I had to go back, and I went back and apologized. And it wasn't anything mean. It was just a little snippy. And I thought, whoa, did you really just do that? That's
self-awareness and being mindful.
Hey, Amy, there's Dr. Amy.
Being mindful of my effect on other people. Sometimes I'm not really good at that. That's one of my big gaps that I've been working on over the years. And just something that, I believe is important, that when I'm in conversation, and I do snippy well, according to my husband, he says the sass can come out. And
I'm an expert.
There was a time I would have aspired to your level. Kidding.
Hey.
Gentle tease there, gentle tease. But the idea is that, over the years, as I have changed and grown in my own communication and social learnings, if you will, and improvements, that's one of the gaps for me is ultimately important, is that I not be too hungry or too angry. If I have those combination, too hungry, angry, lonely, tired, the HALT series actually is very, very good for me to be mindful of. Honestly, though, if I really come down to it, if I'm tired, it's not a good idea for me to be in public. Welcome, Damon.
Hi, Damon. Good morning.
Hey, Sabrina. Hey, everybody else. Good morning.
So your thoughts, of course, are welcomed.
Sabrina, you really you said something that sparked something in me about people not being able to be trained in the area of service and courtesy. I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think it's something important for all of us to talk about out loud and just share our opinions. But I am I'm a trainer, educator. I'm an educator by trade. I train faculty right now across the country. I give faculty development workshops all year round. And one thing I talk to them about, because I'm really working with college faculty mostly, is just this idea of education. And education is not something that we don't impart knowledge on our the people that we're educating, the people that we're serving. The word educate comes from edus, which means to draw forth basically those latent powers that are within the person already. So I think that we all can be educated on how to be courteous and be of service. But I think that the way we've been conditioned in this world that we live in, that part of us has been largely suppressed. And it's just waking it back up, bringing it back to the surface, drawing it forth.
So can I put out here, what can we do for ourselves to bring that out?
Self-educate, self-improvement.
Yes, Damon, Damon's absolutely right. But I think it's what I was trying to say, and I may have said it wrong. I said I think that you can't be angry inside.
Yes.
And try to be courteous to somebody. Those two just don't work. So you have to develop what's in here in order for out there.
No doubt.
You know,
and I think that's the one thing we all agree on is like personal improvement, self-development is key to success. So those were the thoughts that, Sabrina kind of pulled me into this conversation. I was comfortable on the sidelines.
So my calling you out didn't have anything to do with it. Now I know where I stand, and that's cool. Go, Sabrina.
I'm an expert at that.
All right. So we decide, or we get to the point where we see our gaps, and what do we do about it? But I got to tell you that I'm not always a good seer of which gap needs to be addressed first. And that's why I'm so grateful there's other people around me like you, Damon, and others who educate and train and share and are willing to answer my question when I come across a problem or a situation and I'm ready for an answer, which oftentimes is just a mirror, and somebody's able to show me, nah, the problem really is you. And here's how. I'm all one for, well, if it's me or if it's something I can change, tell me how. Don't just point the finger at me.
I think the problem is ultimately always just you. And I think that's kind of the point of the book.
Thank you, Sabrina. I was thinking the same thing.
It's about how you view it or how you handle it or how you change it up. Or
now, the other thing that he's bringing out, having said that, is that it is, if we change the view, if I change my view of how I'm presenting myself to potential customers, as instead of what I can do for you, but maybe look at it, I'm just throwing this out for discussion, maybe look at this as what can we do together? Because I find it interesting that his view of what the future employer will be like actually is happening on the internet, because internet businesses, those of us that use the internet, are all about collaboration with our customers. It really, and I see that on a regular basis.
And our peers.
It is, but he's talking in terms of the customer.
Right.
I'm taking what he's saying in terms of the customer or the employer. Approaching it instead of I'm up here and you're down here, approaching it in let's work together. And let's have you in mind. It's your end goal that's the most important thing to me. It is what you are needing from me and my team that is the most important. And is it a good fit? I think it's my responsibility as a business owner to also determine that this isn't going to be a good fit and that you will be better served going elsewhere. I don't know. I'm just going to throw that out there. And I'm going to take a moment to say hello to Pamela DeReal. Derek, thank you for joining us. Ian, I have no idea how to take that. Ian says, hey, Charlene, been sleeping last couple of your blabs.
I think Cindy has a very valid point. She says, I used to think, why does it always have to be me who changes? Do I love my journey of change?
I think that's an excellent point.
Good point,
I've asked
Cindy.
it of myself often.
We're going to give you 6 stars and a cookie. Good morning.
Yeah. It always, why do I have to fit to the world? Why can't the world fit to me? That was a big struggle with me. yeah, and you know, it was part of growing up and learning that it really is that I have to fit to the world. Or if I don't fit to the world, how's this? If I don't fit to the world, do I believe in what I'm doing enough to wait for the world to catch up? Which still, in both cases, means I've stopped fighting. And instead, I'm moving forward.
Let's talk a minute about his service that he's talking about on here, because he's
Well, Ha's back.
I have to jump in because, you know, control
Something
the
hit her.
controllable. Because you can control you cannot control anyone. And then, you know, as long as you do enough, and then anybody, if they do their part and together we will do great thing. But if not, you know for sure that you have done the right thing. You know, and for the customer service issue that, you know, when people ask me a question, they keep on asking the question. I don't look, because if I will be angry if I'm looking at the question or I hear that they're questioning me. Instead, I will say, when they're asking me a question, I think they offer me the opportunity to explain, to make myself clear better. And, you know, in that sense, you know, I can make the sale easier because now they can understand what I offer more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. I mean, when I trained customer service personnel, it was that frustration they would get when they keep asking the same question. And so, well, that's your clear flag that you need to give them the answer differently.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am. I agree totally.
There's a reason they're asking the question again. They're not understanding the way you're explaining. So think for a minute that there's got to be a different way to explain the same thing, because there always is.
Oh, I raise a rule for that. Yeah.
Hey, you guys, I'm gonna open up a seat here because Cindy's got me thinking about that cookie, and I happen to know where one is.
Oh, glory! Thanks, Cindy. Okay, Sabrina. And welcome, Andre. Good to have you here. Yeah, that was, again, when I trained them, there's the frustration on the side of the person trying to serve. They have the gentleness. Most of the time they had the genuine, I want to be of service. So their frustration was they keep asking the same question. Yeah. And it wasn't that they were upset at the customer. It most often than not.
Yeah,
because sometimes it was because they didn't last long in that job anyway.
My recommendation: you put up with all that, you answer, and you can have the smile, keep on answer the questions, and then when you get off the phone, get the balloon, and then start to blow in that balloon.
You had a balloon? Oh, I always told them, I said, walk away. Go to the bathroom.
And, you know, and to really huff and puff into that balloon.
I love the balloon. Okay. I never did that. But I would give them permission if they were that frustrated or they escalated a call. It was, you need to walk away and you need to go outside or to the bathroom and just scream.
Yeah, because you don't want to go into their turbulence or their hurricane, whatever that is.
So that's also part of the self-care, isn't it? The being mindful of my own reactions to people. And if I'm able to catch myself, there's the secret, catching myself. I'm not always the best at doing that, but I get wigged out or I start getting really, really on a roll, and it's, you've got me hook, line, and sinker, and I'm ticked off. And I'm not able to walk away. I'm always very, very glad when it's not recorded. That's all I can say. I'm very, very glad. But it's also, I calm down and I don't like being that way. And then I have to think it through and say, I didn't say some good stuff. I got to find a person, clarify, and if it turns out, if it turns out that somebody was hurt by it, then I ask, how can I take care of it? What can I do? I mean, if it's, what can I do? I've hurt you. And while I'm sorry about it, I want to make it better. So what can I do to make it better? But again, sometimes it takes somebody else pointing out, oh, Charlene, you did it again. Yeah, my family's really good.
Earlier, Charlene, you said something about it's difficult to recognize the need for change in yourself. Mm-hmm. And, I feel the same way. And I think it's like a movie. If when we go to the movies, we don't buy a ticket and then we go sit in the front row when no one else has made it into the movie theater yet. We kind of sit back from the screen because we want a better view. But we're not just in the front row of the movie that we play in. We're in the movie screen. So how difficult is that to see? So again, I really value these kinds of forums because I think that when we talk to each other and we hear varying perspectives, that we realize that, man, they saw a completely different way, and I appreciate them helping me see through their eyes because now I see it better.
I agree wholeheartedly, Damon. Earlier in the comment section, Chuck says, if you can show someone how being courteous benefits them personally, especially over time, they can create the habit. They need desire and persistence. So that brings to mind that while Damon and I are in agreement of not being able to see it in ourselves, I'm attracted to some people, and I'm so attracted to who they are and how they behave that I develop the need and desire for myself to be like that, that I want to be viewed like I'm viewing this other person. How do I do that? And actually it becomes, am I doing that? Am I viewed that way? And it becomes an awareness thing of watching other people and asking. My really, really close friends just laugh and lovingly and talk me through some things and can let me know it's okay to ask, because I'm telling you, I was the classic geeky nerd kind of person. Put me in a corner, keep me away from people, I was happy. And every time I'd be put out amongst groups of people, I didn't have the skills. And still today, it's something that I have to be very, very conscious of. That's why I know it's not a good idea for me to be tired. And then you add hungry, then you add angry. Oh, it's not a good idea. I have been called, these are, and pretty much nobody on here really knows me from way back, so to speak. I have been called cold. I've been called heartless. I've been called the Ice Queen. I have been called unfeeling, uncaring.
Wow.
And yeah. And it's because it's not. Some of it was my inability to express the feelings, and some of it was that I was expressing quite clearly. Because ultimately the job needs to get done, and I'm not here to change your diaper. Yes, I've said that. So it's a good thing I have my own company, and my customers love me. But I've grown a lot since then. But yeah, I was called that a lot. So had I been able to take the things that Napoleon Hill's, just in this short page, he lists them. Am I saying somebody loves my hair, or are you talking to somebody else?
I think they're talking to you.
Oh, how cool is that? Thanks. Yeah. I appreciate that. You're all propped out.
Yeah,
you're talking to me.
Well, never know, Damon.
When we talk about the angry customer, and sometimes they just want to be heard. Therefore, yes. Right off, you have to listen carefully and hear them,
Yes.
and then, and you will meet them where they're at. You need to acknowledge, their feeling. And then you will say, okay, you say that, and then you can further explanation of what you need to tell them. And sometimes the people just call, and then, you don't know who spoiled that day before they make a call to you. And then you just happen the voice of the, at the end of the other phone, and they just slash out. And, we are human. At one point we have done that,
But you see, that's what I was talking about, that it would suck it out of me. I was great at handling the really ticked off ones. That wasn't everybody always escalated to me. I could handle it. But trust me, I learned the value of going outside and screaming. I learned the value of, if you're going to hit a hardwood tree, do not do it with a 2x4, it reverberates. And that you can do a silent scream at your desk, but it's best done in the restroom, because then you can see yourself do it. You know, those are things that these are over the years that I've learned to
so I
do.
mean, another person in the store will be terrified. So next time, get into the car, driving the way home on the highway.
People never saw
roll
this.
the window up and just scream.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
Yeah,
but no. It was never around other people. Never. Ultimately, in all honesty, even though my social skills were crap, and that's social skills. That means, you know, you put me into a room of just out of nowhere, just put me into a room of any sort and expect me to just participate in conversation. It wasn't going to happen. But I had a purpose when I was doing the work that I did and still do, and I still have a purpose in it. And I've just always been the type. This was told to me even by my parents, that they had to watch out, because I get very, very focused on the person in front of me. You are the most important person in the world. At that moment we're talking, you're it. Now there's a couple of different reasons that, you know, I'm like that. Includes hearing impaired. So when I can't hear somebody and all the words that you say, I'm watching everything, all your body language and everything. But so very active listener. And then and I've met many like me, and I've developed an understanding of sweetie, you want to try again? Yeah, try to come into the room again. It's either the audio, it's the camera, something is not happening correctly. But anyway, you know, I mean, you know, there's a lot of reasons for it, but no, never in front of other people. Never. It is not my place to make other people.
I thought they went in the bathroom and then you happen to scream and somebody
else
in the other stall, and then just say they're terrified because they.
Yeah, it's a silent scream. It's the silent scream. I'm sorry. No. When you're around other people, you just don't do that. No. And then let's go to the comment area. Cindy, yes, I am an introvert. I am. And I appreciate that you understand the struggle with socializing. I can appreciate that. Social anxiety is very difficult to come over as a loner nerd. Absolutely. I'm right with you, dear. Right with you. Welcome, Billy. Good to have you with us. Jacob, Ben, good to have you with us. Dave, you tried to get on. If you'll try again, I'll be happy to let you in. And I want to make sure that, because there were some great comments to the right, I want to make sure we get those in here. Let's see here. Oh, blue light. Oh, you a Kmart guy? All right, good to see you. I've been mindful of my interactions in the customer service realm lately. As a consumer, I have a tendency to be pretentious when wronged. Yes, again, as Sabrina said, it all comes back to me, right? And that's what we read in here. It's all about me. What can I bring to the table? What can I bring to other people that's better than what it could be better? What can I offer? And I'm going to go back to the reading here, where when I am doing business, the one thing that I really liked in here was that the focus is, regardless of the industry he was talking about, the focus was the consumer. That's the end goal. Should always have the customer in mind. And that's been something I've taught and been a part of since I was 14. Always have the customer in mind. It's the customer experience. What are they walking away with? I've never been one, just so y'all know, even when I taught it, the customer's not always right, but it's our job to make sure that they understand what they need to understand. And if they walk away satisfied, that can be enough. It is not my job to bend over backwards to make sure that you are right. That's not it. So it's an understanding that they're coming to me thinking that they're right. And it's not my job to say you're wrong. It's my job to listen through it so that whatever issue is happening can be resolved in a manner where you walk away satisfied. The ultimate goal is you walk away with a smile.
Yes.
But I have to reconcile that some people just aren't going to do it. And then Chuck, oh yeah, everybody matters. Yes, everybody needs to feel that they matter. And getting the attention they deserve. That's recognizing that when working with the general public, everybody's coming with a different story, right? And it's never, they're not coming at me, you're right. They're not coming at me. They're coming at me with a problem. So
I like that you said it's not your job to make sure they know that they're wrong.
yeah.
Right? That's not the place. If we're trying to conduct good business,
They have a
that might
problem.
ruin the environment for all of our other customers.
Well, yeah, and it becomes an attitude. I've seen that in some people. It becomes an attitude that, an arrogance that is so unhelpful.
And we're all in this together, whether we recognize it at first or not. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we live in this one world, and if we're all angry, that's just not good. So, and going back to the book and Napoleon Hill's philosophy, one of the first things he says we must do is control what we can control, and the only thing over which we have complete and total control is of our thoughts in our minds. So
You're right.
It's better to be responsive than reactive, but that takes exercise.
It takes discipline.
Discipline and exercise. That's a muscle we've not worked out that much.
You're right. It's an exercise. It's discipline. It's maturity. There's a lot of things wrapped up in there, isn't there? Right. Just like Ha was saying, is that let's control that which we can, which is our own thoughts, which control our feelings and behavior.
What you said is that is the best practice. You're not because see the people work for you, also your client, your customer, because you just cannot say the customer always right. That means you assume that your employee is wrong. But like you said, you don't want to say that to prove that they're wrong. We just want to say, okay, at that moment that we need to settle, we need to listen to them, and because what they might not be wrong, but they thinking what we had to offer. They thinking about something that they expect of us, but that is
there you go. Yeah, the expectation wasn't met somewhere.
Yeah,
there you go. That's a good way to put it.
The discrepancy in between, our communications from what we try to deliver, what they receive. So that is, the talent is to listen and to hear, and then start to resolve that. And that's the best practice. And I have to go. So long, guys.
Oh, so good to have you here, Ha. Thank you. Some wonderful words there. Wonderful words. I want to welcome Franklin and Alicia. It's good to see you here. Thank you for coming by. Billy, I don't believe I welcomed you. So glad you're here as well. And seats are open, and got another 8 or 9 minutes about discussing pages 120 to 123. And I love what everybody's been saying so far, which is all about exactly what he was writing. But if we go even further, I like what Napoleon Hill says, which again repeats that if you're going after a job, or good morning, Felicia and Steve, glad you're here. If you're going after a job as an employee, or you're going after customers, which is what I'm reading into this as well, think first of exactly what you're offering and what they need, and put it in the context of study them. I mean, he says it in 120 to 121 when he outlines it. First, decide exactly what kind of job you want. If it doesn't exist, perhaps you can create it. And my gosh, the internet allows us to do that, doesn't it, Damon?
Yes.
If there isn't something out there being offered to people that we know or that we see there's a need, the internet gives us the opportunity to do it ourselves. There, we've got our job, right? And then choose the company or individual for whom you wish to work. Choose your market. I'm going to come at this from a business owner. I'm seeing that as choose your market. Third, study your market. Study who they are and how they work, how they live. And I'm viewing that in this instance, he's saying study your prospective employer, policies, personnel, chances of advancement. And what I see there is study my market as to the values that they live by, the people they surround themselves with, and are they ambitious for some reason? Are they looking for something to move them forward? Because that's part of the services that I offer, is to help people move forward. And then I analyze myself and figure out what I can offer and plan the ways that I can offer it. And then forget about a job. I love this. Forget about it being a job. make it about what can we give? What can you give? And once you have your plan of mind, write it out. And in this case, writing it out in a brief or a resume, but it can also be in presentation form. If you've got a plan of mind, put it in presentation form so that it's accessible to my market. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm not viewing this correctly or if you see it a different way. And then present it to the proper people with authority. Let's put it in front of the people who can make the decision to buy. Whether it's me who's going after a job or me who's offering a service. Make sure it's in front of the right people. I want to welcome Stephen Fabrizio. I'm hoping I said that correctly. Welcome. What do you think, Damon? Any other thoughts coming to mind?
No, everything you said, I'm blown away by how precise this guy was. I mean, that's a pretty laid out formula. All we have to do is follow it and apply it. And especially with the internet, I feel like the internet really favors the ordinary person. We don't have to go to banks anymore and fill out these massive applications for business loans. If we have the desire and the drive, today we can create that ideal position. Instead of going to apply for a job and hoping somebody accepts us, we can create our own way.
Yes. Oh man, you like my hair. Yours is awesome.
Thank you.
What's up, Scream?
Oh man. So what's your name, dear?
My name is Scream Wax.
Can we call you something else? Do you prefer us to call you Scream?
Legally, my name is going to be Scream Wax, and Scream Wax is also my brand.
All right, then Scream Wax, good to have you on board.
Thank you.
What would you like to offer?
I was going to mention the fact that, a lot of people are working jobs that they don't necessarily like because they're trying to get by or trying to get to something, much greater. They're trying to chase their set goal and get to where they've already set, their mind to be. So they're not always where they're supposed to be in the moment. Everyone wants that fast, A to B, not looking at the steps to get there, not thinking about, self-development and the process that you have to undergo to get to that reward, or else it's not going to feel rewarding at all. So at the very least, I think what should really be instilled within people, no matter what job, and I know this could easily be argued within any form of work, but based off of the job situation, but I think sight, I mentioned earlier, offering a step back, a deep breath, and clear sight to the team, because perspective is really, really big. And we hear people say, be more optimistic and don't be pessimistic, but it's easier said than done. And perspective is a huge, huge factor. So in terms of perspective, it could be something as simple as going back to the very, very basics of your own day, where you started from waking up in the bed that you just woke up in to brushing your teeth in that restroom. I mean, it's so like, it seems so far out, but to tell somebody, at the end of the day, you're going to end up where you were from the beginning of the day. And to realize that you have a task in front of you that if you didn't put that, you most likely, you submitted the job application, you put yourself in that position to accept those tasks, that you are, no matter what, if you choose to get the task done or you don't, you're still going to be where you're currently at. And if you make that move to continue onto the path to accept the tasks daily, you're going to get to your end goal. You're going to be where you want to be. That's all I wanted to share.
It's fabulous stuff, Scream Wax. Thank you for sharing.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Can I get an amen? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's wonderful. And I really like the way you said that. We can take the broad and say, hey, you need to look at it, optimistically or pessimistically, stop being a pessimist. But you just outlined the how to do that it is perspective. And if you take, this is what I heard you say, if you take a step back, take a breath, start your day over because you took a look and realized that you missed something in the morning routine or somebody got you derailed when you got to the office or to work or whatever. Just take a step back and get in the moment, that the day will move forward much better than where you had ended up to that point.
It also helps you realize that the problem's not as big as what you thought it was. So
yes, I like that. You're right. Yes, I like that. Thank you so much.
Welcome. It also provides good customer service, and that's the last thing. You know, when you have a clear mind, you mentioned that earlier. You were like, people who are upset aren't going to be able to provide a
No.
genuine, smile and presence. So once you have that clear mind, it's genuine. It's through and through.
Yes. Yes. That's why I'm an advocate of walk away. I love Ha's answer of blow up a balloon, but I already had visions of some of the cubicle farms that I was in, of the balloons flying all over the place. That would people are people, right? Yeah, no, there's going to be somebody, and so I'm still an advocate of last call's over. Once it's over, take that 5 minutes, walk away, because 5 minutes away from the desk is worth keeping the next 5 customers that you're going to be talking to. So,
most certainly.
Great stuff, Screamwax. Great stuff.
Thank you. I think I was going to also add that just for a fact or two, but I'm 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned a lot of this on my own, and it seems like, and just we'll probably say this in less than a minute or two, but jumping from not finishing high school, getting my GED, and getting into something that I love was really important and helped perspective. So now, being a cosmetologist, everything has come together, and I'm able to express myself more than ever. And I decided to take the initiative to go to the library and learn about business. And so that's why business really interests me. Personal relationships and, building a foundation around everything that you do, whether it be your relationships or things that you want to do within your life, are very, very important, because they're the steps that you're building to get to where you need to be and where you want to be. And I found that to be most important.
And you're seeing that because you were able to move forward with what you identified as your purpose. You identified this is where I need to be and the kind of things I need to be doing. And because you're doing that, it freed you up to be able to see the other things, your gaps, as you said, business. It's time for me to learn about business. It's time for me to learn about this, but also to move you forward with it. What I'm hearing is that you had a desire for personal development and just couldn't articulate it. I don't know.
Well,
I'd be wrong.
I think that's what it was. And I think what helped me get a better grasp on it was those putting myself in a social situation, having to speak to somebody. And, as we see clients every single day, and in doing that, I really found a love for that as well. And it learned so much from others, and you learn so much about yourself too when you put yourself in different situations like that. It
really, for me, it was a mirror. I learned a lot about myself. Now, I'm not saying I learned how to change myself, but I learned a lot about myself by watching other people and being conscious of their reactions to me, especially in face-to-face retail. I was one that it was better for me when I'm prepared, still is better for me, that I am a mirror for them, and if so I watch them first to see, who are you, what are you doing, what are you bringing to the table? And if it's good stuff, I can do that. If it's not, then I need to be like so-and-so over here, which is, let me bring the good to the table. Let's work through the problem. Let's be helpful, that sort of thing. Very draining, though, for me. Very draining. But again, that's who I am. And we're at the top of the hour, so I am going to say I'm going to close the recording only. I'm going to be here, keep the room open 30 minutes to an hour. I can. Therefore, I will, so that we can continue discussions and let's see where they take us. How's that? So let me close out the recording for the viewers. I want to thank those who are watching the replay, those who have joined me in this conversation, Screamwax, Damon, Ha, Sabrina. How wonderful to see you all in person. Those in the comment section, you've offered great insight and great commentary for the discussion. I appreciate that in each and every one of you. For those who are watching the replay, this is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know, www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Now let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, grow our businesses. So until next time.